Okay, so for Aquarius people, right now, there are a lot of things going through your mind when it comes to your financial foundation. And I feel like for many of you, some of you are kind of like this, Nine of Pentacles, on top of the world, self-sufficient, being able to take care of yourself, having a lot of savings, having a lot of income, having like a steady stream of just, financial abundance. Okay. Some of you are self-made. Some of you have dealt with a lot of heartache and you bury yourself in work. You try not to feel the feels. Okay. You try not to, let things ruminate in your mind. You try not to let the other person have that power, that control over you. So you bury yourself in work. You bury yourself in hobbies. You immerse yourself in other things. And thank God they're like, very productive things for your creative outlet, for your energy. And you try not to ruminate and think about the things and the person that hurt you. And so you definitely were very productive with that time. While you were grieving, you made something out of yourself. Okay. And now you're looking back at this legacy that you've created and you're just like, I am so proud of myself. I can't believe I did all of that while, I was an emotional wreck, while I was a mess. And I feel like you're looking at it, everything that you have created, all your creations, with a sense of like paternal, maternal pride. Okay. It's your love and joy. It's your baby pretty much. And so I feel like because of that, you turn something that might have been like a heartache situation into something beyond your wildest dreams. And it left an imprint. Okay. You left an imprint on it. And you're very proud of yourself. So you're in a space of financial abundance. While others of you, you are financially linked up with another person. And I feel like there are a lot of worries for you guys when it comes to your financial stability. And funnily enough, I mentioned that, Aquarius is like the most independent sign of the zodiac. You're self-made, you're self-sufficient, you're very, very independent. And I feel like the one sign from the universe, the one sign that you're in the wrong situation is if you are financially entangled with another person and you don't feel independent financially. That's one sure sign that you're in a wrong relationship, because I feel that coming through. I feel a situation that is very entangled with another person. We have the green here. And we have this infinity symbol, and we have the juggling act, and we have a financial foundation here with the tower that is fractured. Okay. It's a situation where financially you're linked up with another person. They're dependent on you, I feel, for certain things in the relationship, but I feel like you are dependent on them for the finances. And I feel like you're starting to see that this is a very, very messy arrangement, and it's really hard to kind of come out of this unscathed. And so you're plotting and you're planning and you're trying to figure out how to separate the assets, how to demarcate, have like a clear separation when it comes to what is yours versus what is the other person. But either way, there is a situation here where the foundation is cracked, where it cannot be rebuilt. Okay. The tower breaks down things that are wobbly, things that are built on faulty grounds, things that have not been well thought out, and things that have not been, it was like, castle in the sky. It was like, it wasn't stable. It wasn't realistic. Foundationally, it was very, very weak, and more things got built on top of it, even though it had a faulty foundation to begin with. So I feel like there was a situation here where being financially linked up with somebody really interfere with your freedom of movement, really interfere with your free will, and it interfered with your ability to come and go as you please. And you're in this situation where you're plotting and planning how to extract yourself, and it's getting messy. Okay. Um, so that's the first thing. And I feel like, you know, the energies are very extreme. Some of you totally financially independent, and others of you, you're tied into a situation you want to leave, but financially, you're not really sure how things are going to go. And I do sense that in, you know, in due time, it's going to work its way out because you are already drawing your line in the sand and trying to separate your assets and trying to liquidate and trying to extract yourself. Okay, so I feel like the extraction process or the thoughts of it have already begun, and you are taking actions to move yourself in the right direction or to extricate yourself from this situation, which is great. And then I'm also seeing as well, going back to the Aquarian stubbornness, okay? And I don't mean this in any type of a derogatory way, because I feel like, you know, you won't be you unless you are stubborn. Okay. And I feel like, you know, the worst thing you can tell an Aquarius is like, no, don't do that. Like infringe upon their free will and tell them what to do and boss an Aquarius around and tell them, you know, these are things you're supposed to do and these are things you're not supposed to do. Like tell them how to behave, correct their behavior or things like that, because those things can backfire. But what I feel coming through is, you're coming into this month, you're keeping your impulses and you're keeping yourself in check. You're realizing in the past instances where your impulses have gotten you in trouble or have inadvertently come out in a way where it isolates you from other people, where it created like a rift between you and another person, because of this impulse to want to rebel, to want to, you know, stubbornly do something, even though you know it wasn't good for you. It's like testing the water, okay? It's like a child touching a tea kettle and knowing that it's hot, but, you know, wanting to experience it for himself, how hot it is. Okay, so it's that situation where I feel a little bit like, you know, playing with fire, pushing buttons, wanting to get to that limit, wanting to see like what makes the other person tick. And, you know, I feel like you're in the process of learning that when enough's enough and when not to, you know, overexert yourself or waste your energy, or, you know, when you're supposed to stop pushing for a specific outcome because something is not meant for you. Okay, so I feel like there's a situation here where it's a lot about self-awareness. It's about, you know, maturing, understanding yourself, understanding that, you know, this is my chill out card. Okay, this is somebody who is in a state of rest and relaxation. This animal is drinking tea. So it's somebody who might be a tea lover, but I feel like it's a situation where you're finding your center, you're finding your zen, you're in a state where you're just going to mellow out. You're not going to worry about things anymore. You're not going to ruminate over things. You have everything you need at your disposal, and you're in a space where you are truly very content and very happy. Okay? On top of that, you're wearing your crown. You're gaining your power back. You're not giving your energy, your resources, and your time to people that don't really matter. Okay, so I feel like this is a month where you are definitely refilling your cup. Okay, all the waters are coming back into this cup. This is kind of like the Ace of Cups in the making. It's the Four of Cups, and usually I don't like this card. It indicates boredom. It indicates like, you know, lack of inspiration and just being in a situation where you're not appreciative of things. But I feel like this is not a good depiction of the card. But the way this is depicted in here, it's the Ace of Cups in the making, replenishing yourself. Okay, so going back to the images. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the second image now. And then I'll talk a little bit more about these clarifiers. So in the second image, I see this woman. She's in her yoga clothes. She's sitting on a yoga mat in the lotus position, and she has been, you know, meditating for quite some time. And her mind is kind of wondering, and she's like, I wonder what that person's doing. And so what I saw was her third eye starts to open up. Okay. And then there's like a string. It's sort of like a cord. It goes from the third eye into like a great distance. And then at the end of it, there's this man. Okay. I can't really make out what he looks like, but I feel like he's wearing a business suit. It looks like a gray suit, and he has like a blue tie. He's in his office, and she's, you know, just checking up on him. And as soon as that cord connects to his third eye, he kind of opens up his eyes, and he's all like, wait a minute, that felt strange. So I feel almost like you're connected to somebody. You have this like really, really strong, very succinct soul connection with another person. And I feel like it is so strong where if you think about them, they think about you. If you wonder what they're doing, they're probably getting, you know, those intuitive nudges that you're thinking about them, and they likewise will wonder what you're up to. So I feel like there's a very strong like connection or pull, or like a very strong soul connection between two people. And so the scene cuts out, and what I was feeling is I feel like there's a mutual reception here. Okay. And what I mean by that is, let me talk about this card, the Tower. So we have here a really big crack in the foundation. Okay. And when we look at the Tower, it's a situation where we're losing grip. We're gaining water, or like it's about to collapse into this body of water. We don't see anybody in it or in the Tower in this card, but what it denotes to me is it's a situation where things have been fractured. You can't really rebuild from this, okay? You can't salvage it. It is falling into the ocean, or it's falling into this body of water. Its sinking is going to disappear, and whatever effort we make to kind of subsidize it or bail it out or try to repair it or try to fix it, it's going to be in vain, because at the end of the day, whenever it starts to sink, at the end of that, we're just not going to see it anymore. Okay. So I feel like there's a situation that's, it was wobbly. It was very wobbly from the very beginning. And you knew this, Aquarius. You guys are smart. You guys know when a situation is, unbalanced. Okay. So I feel like from the very beginning, from its advent, it wasn't the ideal condition. Okay. It wasn't the right thing. It was just never the right thing. From the very beginning, it had faults, it had cracks, it had issues. And here's where I feel like you're dealing with somebody like this, and there's nothing wrong with it. We all have flaws. We all have our baggage. We all have, you know, our conditioning and our behaviors that are not ideal. Okay. You're dealing with somebody that is far from perfect, but you really love this person. You saw all of their flaws. You saw their temper flare-ups. You saw insincerity, I feel like, you know, with the things that they did, with the things that they said. And I feel like you didn't care. You loved this person anyways, against your better judgment. Okay. I feel like you really, really cared about this person. And I feel like from the very beginning, at the beginning of this relationship or this union or this situation, it wasn't ideal. You saw the flaws. You saw that it couldn't have worked out. But I almost feel like you went into it anyways, because that soul connection was very, very strong. You felt it. And there were moments where you were very, very indecisive. We have here the Two of Pentacles, and this is the juggling act. This is sort of like, you know, weighing out the pros and cons, yes or no. Some days you feel like giving up, you know, throwing in the towel and walking the other way and never giving this person the time of day. And then other days you're just like, I just want us to be friends. I just want us to be in each other's lives. So I feel like you were very conflicted because you knew it was a faulty foundation, but the connection was very strong. And so it felt worthwhile. And I pulled out 2 cards for the Tower to signify what it meant, okay? And what I have here is the Hermit. And I have the Lovers. So this is the card of Virgo. This is the card of Gemini. So some of you might be dealing with a Virgo or a Gemini. And the Hermit basically indicates to me, the Hermit is about going inside, going within. And I feel like there's a person here who is lacking in self-awareness. There's a person here who's like, they're so used to being on their own, and they're so used to their independence, and they're so used to having things their way and doing, you know, living for themselves and not having to deal with worrying about, caring for, showing affection towards another person, that they didn't exhibit the signs that they were ever going to be a good relationship partner. Does that make sense? So I feel like you're dealing with somebody who puts themselves first. You're dealing with somebody who is, this is a sloth, okay? And I always think of like sloths as like an old man, okay? And this is not meant to be derogatory in any way when it comes to, you know, people in their age, okay? I'm just saying, like, that's just the impression I usually get with a sloth. And this old man is wearing like a hoodie. Okay, so I feel almost like it's somebody who is not acting their biological age, okay? They might be old in years. Biologically, they might be old, but emotionally, they're very, 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 they're very immature. And I feel like they live for themselves. I feel like you're dealing with someone who might be a little bit selfish. It's all about me and me and me. And then on the other side, on the flip side, and this might be another person, we have here the Lovers. And this is a situation where, you know, I have that third eye, really strong emotional connection. It's like a very strong psychic connection between 2 people. And I feel like there might be an age difference. There might be a cultural difference because the 2 seahorses are, you know, different colors. I'm also seeing a situation where the 2 people, they're joined. There's a soul contract here. They're joined together. They're supposed to learn something from one another. So the lesson, I feel like one person is supposed to learn to be patient, and the other person is supposed to learn to reciprocate. It's supposed to learn to, you know, put others before themselves. Okay, so one person is supposed to give the other person the tools in order to better themselves. And unfortunately, I feel like you, Aquarius, are the ones that are supposed to give them the tools, the guidance on how to be a better person. And then I also feel like that's why, in a way, I felt like you were constantly oscillating in and out, like one foot out the door in this relationship. Even from the very beginning, you were constantly thinking about like, oh, it's just so much easier for me to run away from this connection. And then some days you wanted to be in the connection, other days you wanted to be out. It was very confusing. And you know why it's very confusing? Because your soul understands that you have a soul contract with this person. And your soul understands that you're going to get hurt in this relationship.